What's happening? It's Friday.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, Mark,
Happy
how's it going?
Friday. Good morning. How's it going, Dan?
It's awesome. It's going well. We're live on LinkedIn, live for the first time ever. So the show's getting bigger, Mark, bigger by the week, you know?
It feels like it was your 7-year anniversary at QuestionPro, and that's why LinkedIn was like, "Hey, let's do this
Yeah, I
for
think
Dan."
they were like, all right, this is my anniversary present, I guess, for my 7-year anniversary at QuestionPro. So no, that's good. Like I was joking in our Slack, like time flies when you're having fun. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, how are things going on your end?
Not bad. It's been a long week. Like you and I were also saying before the call, it really has been a long week, but
Yeah.
it's all good. We actually did an internal call even right now, prepping for X Day. 10 days to go, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so X Day's happening. I will say before we get started, there might be some new viewers because we're live on LinkedIn now as well. So feel free to comment, and we like to make this as interactive as possible, especially in some of the survey questions and things I'll be showing later. Would love to get your feedback and spot things in the data with me because we'll be going over it live. I might miss some things, so we definitely want that feedback from you and interaction. Feel free to post it in the comments. So just wanted to say that before we get started. But yeah, definitely welcome to the show today. I think the big thing we want to promote today is X Day. So this is our user conference that will be happening on May 11th. We're super excited about it. I know I'm hosting a panel with folks from the NBA, Amazon, Kellogg. So it's going to be, and there's a lot of other events as well for our AutoX. We're going to be talking about that. Workforce has 2 doctors speaking, so pretty good stuff there. And then also we have Vivek, our CEO, that will also be unveiling new products, new features, and talking about QuestionPro overall. So you don't want to miss out on that. Definitely something that's interesting and is free to attend. And we'll also be giving away prizes, experience-based prizes. So everything from national park annual passes to I think Airbnb gift cards and so forth. So I think you can see the theme there. Experiences, also giving away things that have to do with experiences. So we like the wordplay there. So that's good. Great. And then I know we have a webinar coming up that Mark will put in the link as well.
Yeah.
Mark, can you tell a little bit more about that? I think it's about empathy with Vivek and our with Ken Peterson, and then also I think we have another guest on that one as well, right?
Correct. So that's actually going to be exploring the crossroads of CX and digital empathy. And Vivek and Ken are going to have Jonathan Hawkins, who's the CEO of Anthrolytics, who's coming on. So let me just put that URL on in the chat here, and that's on 27th of May at 11 a.m. So let me just let me put that.
All right, great. And then I know Jonathan will also be a guest on Live with Dan, I think in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be a good tee up for that webinar coming up on the 27th. So you'll get a little teaser of what he's all about and his company's about on Live with Dan. And then on the 27th, make sure you attend that webinar. It'd be awesome. I know a little bit about what he does, and it's super intriguing to me. And then we have Clubhouse next week. So we've been doing the weekly show on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Central. So that's been fun. It's a way to interact, obviously in a different format, but different content than Live with Dan, and we just have more free flowing. I joke around. I typically pick kind of a topic to at least get the conversation started, and then it leads in a whole other direction. So it's definitely exciting. I think it's good engagement on that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Vivek was on the Clubhouse this week, the one that you missed on Wednesday, and it was a super interesting one. We started talking about research and then went into how Amex conducted CX surveys and all of that. So it was a really, really interesting conversation. So that's 2 p.m. every Wednesday. I put that link.
Perfect. Yeah, and then we typically get a bunch of people in there as well. So it's good just to interact, connect, network. We invite people up to talk as hosts as well. So definitely check that out. It's easy, as long as you have Clubhouse. If you don't have Clubhouse, I might know a friend or someone who has some invites. So ping me and I can help you out there for sure.
Yeah, a
Cool.
bunch of
So
us can help out.
let's get into the show then. If we're done with all the announcements here.
Yeah.
All right. So what I wanted to do is a little bit different. Kind of do what in the name of research, but then a spin on it as well. So the what in the name of research is where I see things, question types, or different research that is done that is really kind of questionable and kind of makes me laugh. But so we'll go through this today, and then I have a little bit of a twist on it as well, where I'll make these survey questions into these bad survey questions. I'll create good survey questions out of them. And then we ran live data with these as well. So we can compare the bad survey question to the good survey question, see how the actual data differs. So it's kind of interesting. I haven't looked at it. I've only created some different categories, which we'll get into here. But so the first question here, there's a few things that are wrong with this. One is there's so many answer options here, and they're really like they have a 99 in 100 chance. So the certain or practically certain. So if you're 99% sure, you select that option, or if you're 100% sure, you select that. And then almost no chance is 1 in 100. But then you also have a very slight possibility, which I guess is a 10% chance. So it's kind of it's not great how they did this because it's super confusing. And then also if you're 10 out of 10, that's 100%, right? It's not 99%. It's 100%. So anyway, I thought that this was an example of a bad survey question, and I'm getting these from a Twitter handle I follow, Bad Survey Q, and people see these in the wild, so to speak, and then they obviously go and post them to that account. So this is one that I wanted to make this into a better scale and then see how the differences are in the actual data. So this is one question that made me laugh. This next one is interesting to me because are you concerned about air quality in your local area? Yes, right? It's a yes or no question, but yet it has some scale options here. And these scale options are randomized. So not the best question here. So I think you'll find that the question that I turned this into is better, right? So this is kind of interesting to me. I mean, yeah, it's not even asking like how concerned are you? It's are you concerned? So this, based on the question, it should be yes or no. So
yeah, unless you're in Hawaii, I think everyone would say that they are concerned. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a good point. That's a good point. And then the next one is, so this is more having to do with the display of these answer options, right? So it's not, you have a 7-point scale here, yet it's in 3 different columns, and it's somewhat confusing, I think, to follow. The actual scale isn't bad, but it's the visual aesthetics of the scale that could lead to bias, and then also to just confusion for the respondent, because you have, let's say the first column is strongly agree, neither agree, or strongly agree. And then you can see as you go further along, like it's still the 1, 2, 3, it's still the 7-point scale, but it's not presented in the correct format here. So we'll fix that in the question here. But these are some of the what in the name of research questions that I typically, we would kind of poke fun at here. But what I wanted to do is I program these questions in QuestionPro. So let me get back over to this, and then I'll share this example for you and how to correctly do this as well. So let me get this going here. Okay. So here is the inside of QuestionPro. I did 2 different blocks here. So I did the bad questions. So you'll see those bad questions. I programmed them exactly the way they were in the examples I just showed. So how likely would you be, or how likely are you? I changed some of it because instead of like the product, I had to put some product in. So in this case, I said a bike, right? So this was the same scale. You'll see the 99 and 100% chance. You'll see the 1 in 100 chance, and this the scale question here. And then you'll see, are you concerned about air quality in your local area? I did the same thing. Also randomized the answer options, which is what they did based on the scale I was seeing. And in scale questions, you don't want to randomize the options. You want to make it,
Yeah.
That's not something that you want to do. And then here is the 3-column Likert 7-point scale that they have in here as well. All right. And then, so those are the bad questions. Now these are good questions. So how likely are you to buy a bike over the next 3 months? Assuming you saw it in the store. So this is the same question, but the answer options are more favorable, right? So I did this 5-point scale. You'll get much more definitive answers. And I think it'll be clear of whether someone is going to buy the bike or if it's that, 1 in 100 chance, or if it's the 99% chance. So this will be good. And then I changed this one to which of the following best matches your level of concern regarding air quality in your area. So change the question to reflect, to get actually the level of concern. So it's not a yes or no type question. So that's something that changed. And then the scale, obviously, I think is a little more clear than what was in the previous question. And then finally, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the following statement? So this was the one where the 3 columns, right? So I changed this. I put them all in a nice sequential row or column here rather. And then I had to pick something. So I said, national parks are my favorite vacation destination. So how much do you agree or disagree with that? Okay, and then
just before you go into the analysis, so you've obviously chosen like a 5-point scale in one place, and then I think a 7-point scale in the third question, right?
Yep.
So just out of reference, do you recommend a 5-point or a 7-point scale, and why is that?
Mark, you're gonna be getting me into a turf war here or something. There's I think it comes to a lot of preference. Like there's 5, 7, 10-point scale people. There's even some in between. What I tried to do here was I didn't like this 10-point scale with a NA essentially, because I didn't think it would clearly reflect or get if someone is going to actually buy the bike over the next 3 months. There's too many answer choices here. Yeah. So I thought of a 5-point scale would better get at the actual intent of buying a bike. So I like the 5-point scale myself. I think it's clear. Some people like the 10 or 7-point scale because they can see more differentiation in the data. But there's a lot of research that has been done around, can you or I or the average consumer really, can they really discern between if they rate, let's say a 7 or 8 as opposed to a 4 or 5, right? Like, is there really that available, or can they do that? It's a big, I think it's not controversy. That would take it too far, but there's differing opinions of it for sure. So I chose the 5-point scale here because I thought it was easier for the respondent to understand, and it would really, I think you'll get clearer data as well. There won't be so many, it'll be clustered, I think more, I guess what I'm trying to say is it'll be clustered in a way that you'll be able to get at the actual intent, and also how the respondent is really feeling. Whereas in this question, I think it's going to be all over the board, so it'll be a little bit more harder to discern that data. And then in this question, the 7-point scale, I kept it the same. All I did was
just rearrange it a lot nicer,
sequentially. Yeah. Yep. So that's what I did there. So that's this. And then what I did is we have these 2 blocks of questions here. So good and bad questions. I randomly assigned this. So we got 100 responses and randomly assigned it to one of the 2 blocks. Okay. So keep in mind when I go to analytics here, what I did is I set up different dashboards. So the bike question, I set it up for the good and bad question. The air quality, I set it up for the good and bad question. And the national parks did the same thing, right? So so the bike question, let's go to this one first. And this is the first time I'm looking at this data too. So if anybody watching sees anything that they want to point out, feel free to put it in the comments. We'll talk about it here as well. Okay. So what is interesting here? Let's see. How likely are you to buy a bike over the next 3 months, assuming you saw it in the store and it was a reasonable price? Okay. So this is the 5-point scale. This is the updated question that I did. So people said, very unlikely, 40%, right? So they're not going to buy the bike. Unlikely. So, pretty clear that it's very unlikely people are going to buy this bike given the audience that we serve. And again, this wasn't likely to purchase or anything. This is just, I think, Gen Pop in the US here. So you'll see that the answers it's kind of it's a cluster of different things, right? So you can still see there's no chance or almost no chance is 20%, but let me just see it, but it's less, this is 40%, so it's clear here. Where here, I think you have a sort of an array of different answer options kind of scattered throughout all the different choices. And it's interesting because this is definitely more clear, very unlikely or unlikely. If you were to box those, that's about 53, over 50%. Where here, if you take a look at no chance, slim chance, like the answers are much more dispersed. Now, I don't know if it's because this scale is harder for people to understand. So they're just like, oh, it's no chance. I know that. But it's interesting. And you can kind of see the difference here. I think this data is probably much more reliable because easier to understand. And also you can see that there's a clear, very unlikely is a clear demarcation here as well. So
that looks like very convoluted data. The second one, I mean, I don't think you can draw any insights out of that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if someone says very probable or probable, good possibility, like, okay, but what are you going to do with that? Like, there's really, it's kind of, it's not clear, right? So there's some different things that you wouldn't really be able to discern much from there. So this is interesting. You can see live how a good survey question and a bad survey question compare to one another.
It makes a difference.
Yep. So let's go to this question about air quality. And which of the following best matches your level of concern regarding air quality in your local area? So this is the updated question. You can see 40% said they're somewhat concerned. 13% are moderately concerned. Some are extremely concerned, but slightly concerned, somewhat concerned are the two kind of clear winners here. So this question was, are you concerned about air quality in your local area? So this was the bad survey question. 29% said somewhat concerned, so 40%. So still getting the same option there. What's interesting though is the not concerned at all here is 27%, where the not concerned at all here is 13%. So kind of interesting there, I think. There's just kind of looking at these. Somewhat concerned, not concerned, or not very concerned, not concerned at all. Prefer not to say. So I guess you're getting people that, they don't want to say what they think about the air quality in the area, and then very concerned. So overall here, if you want to look at this, I think there's some interesting things here in that the somewhat concerned is definitely higher. You have a clear winner there. Whereas here, the answers are, kind of clustered around this 20%. So maybe the randomization had something to do with that. And also, I think the question type, or not the question type, but the question itself is a little bit confusing and so forth. So definitely you got to make sure that the question and the answer options match. If you're asking a yes or no question, have yes, no answer options, don't have a rating scale option. Again, kind of survey 101 here. Let's go to this national parks question. This one is going to be interesting because there wasn't anything wrong with the scale. It was more about how that scale, I think, was presented.
Was set up, yeah.
Was set up. So in this one, it's neither agree nor disagree. And then in here, so 44%, 29%. So what's interesting is that you're getting the same, you're kind of seeing the same trends, but the trends are clearer and I think more reliable in the good survey questions than they are in the bad survey questions. Overall is what I'm initially seeing here. Somewhat agree, let's see, is 17%. Somewhat agree is 22%. So pretty close here, but you definitely are getting, I think, better, I would argue, better data because you're seeing, the clear, I wouldn't say winners, but higher percentages here for some of the answer options. So that's kind of interesting. But I think, interesting experiment, because we say that, hey, this affects your data, the way that you word the questions and so forth. But definitely, as Tim mentioned there, garbage in, garbage out, I think 100%. And you don't want to be running these studies and then getting the results back thinking, oh man, like I should have proofread this, or I should have done more, change the scale around. Definitely not something that you want to be in. If we were to look at this more, I mean, we could do some, different analysis types, more in-depth stats and so forth. So to really dive in and see some of these differences. But and we could even lay that on here to see some of the standard deviations and so forth. But just wanted to do this a little bit more anecdotally and quickly on the show today to see a live example of bad survey questions versus those good survey questions once we fix those. So super interesting there. What I want to do now is jump into some live data that we pulled via our instant answers tool. So these are live trends, things going on here in the US. And then our instant answers is a Slack integration that we have where you can ask questions, you get those results back in Slack in that same channel that you asked them. So if you want to make use of this, definitely reach out to me. We can set you up pretty quickly. So let me share this here. I think you'll find these data points super interesting. Okay, so the first question here, should companies require each employee to have proof of vaccination to return to the office? So this is all in the US. Sample size was 151 people we asked this to, the single answer option here. So kind of mixed. More people say yes than no, which is interesting. 57% yes, the 43% no. So I know there's some talk about companies allowing folks to go back into the office. I think this clearly says that, people should be required to have proof of vaccination, right? So this also goes into other things that I've heard, of course, I think rumors at this point, but having almost like vaccination passports, right? Where you need to show the passport, which I think will make a ton of sense for international travel and so forth. But yeah, so this stuff was kind of interesting.
I think there's so much that goes into that though, Dan, because it seems like they say that you've got to take the vaccination every year, right? So how does that even work? And there's semantics, there's lots that goes into it, but I think that's a pretty interesting and valid data point.
Right. You told me I have to get vaccinated every year, Mark? Jeez.
That's what the scientists are saying.
Oh, I guess we'll believe the scientists on this one.
Yeah.
All right. So do you agree or disagree with the FDA removing methanol cigarettes and flavored cigars from shops that sell tobacco? So, I mean, a clear winner here, right? Like, if you're going to ask this question, agree or disagree, you'd want some differentiation here. And this is clear, right? The 78.6% say that they agree with this decision by the FDA. So, and again, this was 150 sample size in the United States using the instant answers tool that we have.
Yeah, Tim's been pretty active, so you can either reach out to Dan or Tim and they'll be able to help you run this yourself or set you up.
Yeah. And then interesting, so should all states repeal mask mandates? So you're finding some states, some county, even on a city level where they're repealing mask mandates. Overall in the United States, 57% said yes, they should repeal all mask mandates, which is kind of interesting to me. Oh, wait here. Let's go back a question here because I saw that Mario here, he put not for cigars. Okay, that's interesting. I could understand that. The cigars, but the menthol cigarettes. Okay. Interesting, Mario. Interesting there. Okay, just wanted to go back to that because I saw that Mario had a comment there. Let's move on. Okay, should all states repeal mask mandates? So we were talking about this. 57% said yes, they should repeal all mandates. No, 43%. Interesting. So more people are saying yes than no. I think, I don't know. I don't know if we wanted to get into math politics here, but it's funny, if you would have asked me like a year ago or 18 months ago, like, what's your opinion on masks? I would have been like, do I need to have an opinion on masks? Like, wear them on Halloween.
I know what you mean.
It's like,
yeah,
you have to have a stance on it. So it's interesting what a year can make. Anyway, cool. So that's mask mandates. People are saying yes. I think we're seeing it a lot here in the States, obviously, as more people are getting vaccinated and so forth. All right. Should gig workers such as Uber, Lyft drivers be considered employees or contractors? This is a hot debate. Is this a debate in India too, Mark, or is it only really?
Yeah, not at the moment, no, Dan. Not at all, actually. But I mean, to some extent, yes, but not like it is in the US. I mean, I've been reading a lot about this, and I know it's a big thing in London too, right? The cab guys. So it's very interesting. I mean, what do you think of this, actually, personally? Let me put you on the spot and ask you.
Jeez, Mark. I think there's pluses and minuses to both options. Clearly, here the people think that they should be employees or contractors. I think if it's employees, I think it'll end up what I think will happen is if they're employees, the costs of the rides I think will go up drastically. So you have to weigh that. And I've heard of Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, making a good amount of cash for doing these things. So I think as long as they're managing the finances correctly, I'm kind of more for contractors, but I don't have a hard stance on it.
Right.
But I know that people like obviously to be employees because there's that assurance of
benefits and
maybe some benefits and so forth. But I don't know. I like cheap Uber rides too, so there's that. So I might be a little bit biased. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree too. I mean, I think you start off with the premise that this is just an aggregator. I mean, I don't want to have very hard opinions on this, but I think that, I mean, you know what you're getting into when you get into it. So.
Yep. It's true. You know what you're getting yourself into, right?
Yeah.
All right. I think this might be the last question here, maybe one or two more. Oh yeah, Mario does bring up a good point. He says that 150 samples for mask mandate question may not be adequate for 50 states. True. We're just trying to get a general, not a general consensus, but a general feeling here. It's super quick just to get, some data there as well, Mario. But you do bring up a good point. If we were going to make this, any significance level or anything, we definitely want more than 150 overall. So should companies financially incentivize their employees to get the COVID vaccine? This is interesting. Clear winner here. 74% say yes, they should. 26% say no. So interesting. Most people say they should financially incentivize. I don't know. I don't know that you need to. I would just say, like, man, I didn't get incentivized and I wanted to get vaccinated. So, but it's kind of interesting if they're requiring people to go back to work, maybe they do need to incentivize them to get the vaccine.
Absolutely.
There's something to be said there, I guess. But maybe people like working from home, so they wouldn't take it either way, right? And the incentive is to not take the incentive because they want to work from home. Think about that one, Mark.
That's a good one. I hope Vivek isn't watching the show.
He doesn't care as long as you get your stuff done. All right. Okay. So I think that was the last question there. So interesting data points there. Hope everyone enjoyed that. And I think with that, we can wrap up the show today. Kind of a longer one, 30 minutes. Next week, there'll be more about this, but be sure to tune in next week. We have 3 powerhouses coming on the show to talk about survey platforms, designing platforms with Vivek Bhaskaran, Jamin Brazil, and then Jeffrey Henning will all be on next week. An extended version of Live with Dan for sure. So that'll be a powerhouse show. Make sure you check out that. And with that, I think we can wrap it up today. Mark, thanks for being on.
All right. Thanks. See you guys. We'll see you next week.